I would love to come up here and say that I'm just a taller version of Yoda and less green, and that I just have an infinite number of profound things to say. But that would make me a liar, because I have a finite number of profound things to say. No, I'm just kidding. So again, like I said, I'm only 22 years old. I don't have all the wisdom in the world, and I don't often like to get very political. However, there are a few things that I feel like I can address that are relative absolute truths. And one of them I'm going to address in this poem. And if you've heard it before, you already know where I'm going with this. This is going to be called The Fear. And I have this tendency of naming a lot of my poems with "the" in front of it. And I don't know why, but for me it just seems like it sounds more impressive. And all I'm trying to do right now is fool you all into thinking that I'm impressive. So, also, this is insanely bright. And I can't see anyone. So, you know, I want you to know if it looks like I'm looking at you, I'm not, you know, mad at you or something. It's just that there's just darkness and I'm looking into it. But again, thank y'all so much for being here. This is called The Fear. When I was 4 years old, my mother, she took me to the local movie theater for the very first time. And now I was incredibly excited. I had my Regal snack pack all laid out on my lap with my mini corn dog, mini pretzels, mini drink, mini Skittles, my mini popcorn, and my mini little legs. They were just swinging off the edge of my seat in sweet, eager anticipation. And then pretty soon it came on. When the lights dimmed, I was watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, that movie was great. But what my mother failed to anticipate was that the evil queen would scare the shit out of me so badly that I'd have nightmares for the next few weeks. And that was the first time in my life I ever learned what it felt like to be afraid. Now, let's fast forward to the 4th grade, and my list of fears had grown to include not only still the evil queen, but also ghosts, the dark, darts, Darth Vader, the idea of my dad shaving off his mustache, and me running out of Pokeballs while I played blue version. But then the day came that would change everything. It's a Tuesday morning that I can't forget no matter how hard I try. See, standing barely over 4 feet tall and scarfing down a bowl of my favorite colorful breakfast cereal, I remember watching the clock strike 6 a.m. Pacific time. Why in the world a 9-year-old is awake that early in the morning, I will never know. But I was. And at 6:01, my mother, she stood still silent and motionless in front of the television screen. At 6:02, she put one hand in front of her chest and another in front of her face, and then at 6:03 a.m. on Tuesday, September the 11th, 2001, a 9-year-old Ryan Yamamoto watched live on television as Flight 175 crashed at about 590 miles per hour into the south face of the South Tower banked between floors 77 and 85, and I watched from over 2,831.6 miles away as over 960 people instantly died. But let's be real, no 9-year-old's going to comprehend any of that. So I just went to school. And all of my grammar school sandbox Insta friends would say things like, "My daddy says we should just nuke the bastards," but I had no idea who they were, or what a nuke was. All I knew was that they were bastards. But then again, what the hell was a bastard? And that was when I became familiar with this new word called terrorism. I watched as it gripped our entire nation and made the evil queen just look like one of Snow White's little woodland critters. And that was the first time in my life I ever learned about terror. Now, growing up, fear in the rest of my life has always been relatively palpable things since, such as spiders, and snakes, and enclosed spaces, and flying, and skydiving, and really dark places, and birds and bees, and sharks and seas, and needles and speeches, and beetles and leeches, and ticks and lice, and dying in heights, and catching a terminal illness of the flu, or the first time I ever walked up to a really cute girl and said, "Hi, my name is Ryan, and I think I might kind of like you." See, I thought fear was driving home from a concert in LA and getting lost at night in Compton, or watching any movie, and I mean literally any movie that stars Anthony Hopkins. I thought fear wasn't war weapons like nukes and planes and guns and tanks and soldiers and swords and knives and swords and fists and bombs and gas grenades and anything that happened on Deltopia. But what I didn't understand about fear is that its greatest weapon is merely an idea, like communism, or economic downfall, or divine intervention, or divine judgment, or I don't know. maybe, that all Japanese on the West Coast are spies and should therefore be interned. Let's just separate from the rest of the population like an apostrophe. You see, fear is the driving motivation behind nearly all of the world's greatest atrocities. It's irrational, yet somehow always becomes justified. And in regards to the lack of evidence against my own grandfather sent to the Boston camp in West Arizona, Earl Warren back in the 40s just said that all Japanese Americans, they're just waiting for the right moment to strike. It was a quote to which members of Congress applauded, and FDR nodded, ironically suffering from the very same fear himself, although making the bold claim that we have nothing to fear but fear itself. You see, fear is the devil's best friend that plays hopscotch in our amygdalas and has conjugal visits with our logic and reason. Fear is the vile puppet master behind racism, the grandfather of rage, the cousin of hatred, and the father of all violence. Stress is just fear when it wears its Sunday best. Fear wishes it could be respect. It gives power to dire dictators and allows them to dominate their debilitated domains. It coats and covers cathedral facades and convoluted carvings of horrifying hellfire. Fear fires bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It gives birth to the Nazis, and fear's fire incinerates civil rights and human liberties. It leads to injustice, the banning of marriage, segregation, internment, and genocide. Fear is the first Red Scare, the Palmer Raids, the second Red Scare, McCarthyism, Hitler's appeasement, the French Revolution, and the May 4th movement. Fear is Birmingham, Alabama, Tiananmen Square, all 9 crusades, book burnings, the bonus march, and Executive Order 9066. Fear is the failure of Korematsu versus the United States. Fear is police shooting students at Kent State. Fear is Plessy versus Ferguson, the iconoclasm, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Iran hostage crisis, Black Tuesday, and the Great Depression. Fear is the Ukrainian Revolution happening right now. Fear is the NSA. Fear is the Occupy Wall Street movement. And fear is the oftenly accused, yet hardly held accountable accomplice to murder. Fear pulled the trigger in the murder of Trayvon Martin. Fear electrocuted an innocent Ethel Rosenberg. Fear co-piloted the Enola Gay, and fear is the reason why I have a habit of choking when I am on stage. You see, fear is the one thing that stands between us and our truest potential. The one thing limiting us between everything that we can actually be. And they say that we're in a war on terror, and that's fine. But how does that lead to a bunch of ignorant, angry Orange County housewives protesting mosques with their picket signs? You see, terror is not a Muslim. Terror has no face, no age, no race, no nation. Terrible things happen in all places. They say that we're in a war on terror, and again, that's fine, but let's be honest with ourselves. The real war on terror needs to begin first in our minds. Thank you.